Hi, my name is Danica, and today I wanted to talk about reading diversely and how we define diverse reading. Specifically, I wanted to talk about why I've decided to concentrate on authors of color versus diverse characters. As you probably know if you subscribe to this channel, I've been using this year to read almost all authors of color. I'll link to the video where I talked about this more down below. Part of my kind of guidelines for this reading challenge, though, was that I was going to keep reading about 50% queer books, which is what I've been doing before. What I realized, though, about these requirements is that I define queer books by content alone, whereas I define POC books by their author. I think the main reason that I personally have decided to define them this way is because I am a white lesbian. So when I see depictions of lesbians and of queer women in books, I feel like I'm informed enough to know whether it's an offensive depiction. It's also true that it can be difficult to find out how an author self-identifies, though that can also be true of race. And I've also found that queer books are still being written almost entirely by queer women, so honestly it doesn't come up a lot. With POC books, on the other hand, I don't feel comfortable deciding for myself whether someone else's depiction of a different race or a different cultural background is offensive. I would rather read books where people are representing themselves in some way, because even if it's not their exact life, which it probably isn't, it still seems less likely to rely on cheap stereotypes. More than that, although I think that diverse representation is really important so that people can see themselves in the media, what I think is even more important and what would lead to that is giving a voice to people who have historically been denied it. As important as I think fictional characters of color are, real-life authors of color are more important. And that's true of queer authors and authors with disabilities and trans authors as well. Part of why I'm reading more diversely is to try in some small way to counteract our culture that elevates straight, cis, white voices above all others. If we create a media climate that makes room for all kinds of diverse voices, then representation will naturally follow. But rewarding white authors who are writing characters of color will not necessarily lead to more authors of color being published. And it's so often that it's white authors writing about characters of color, and straight authors writing about queer characters, and cis authors writing about trans characters, and people who are writing about disabilities that they don't share that get the most attention. Often it's fetishistic or stereotypical representations that get the most praise, and stories that have that outsider's gaze that get promoted over people's own representations of their lives. They drown out people telling nuanced, informed stories about their own reality. So that's why I feel like it's more productive to support authors of color by buying, reading, and talking about their books. I've been doing this project for 6 months now, and it's been interesting. For the most part, I found it really easy once you change your reading habits. It's not like you're denied any genre. There are diverse authors writing about every kind of topic and every genre you can think of. I am starting to get annoyed with just a couple of books that don't fit this criteria that I've been wanting to read. I'll admit that I am going to be breaking my rules and reading some Margaret Atwood this year because she's going to be at Book Riot Live, and it kind of seems like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But other than that, honestly, it's so easy, it kind of seems ridiculous to have as a challenge at this point. I would definitely recommend you give it a try for a little while and really kind of switch around your reading habits if you don't read a lot of authors of color. That's about all I have for now. Just a reminder that I still have a giveaway going on until the 30th. I will link it down below. It's to celebrate the launch of my Patreon, and if you donate $2 or more a month on the Patreon, you get entered in a monthly book giveaway. And thank you for watching. Bye!